Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but life just isn't responding the way it should? It may have something to do with alignment. Hi, I'm Eric and welcome back to another video from Dragonfly Awakening of Colorado. Join us today as we embark upon part 3 of our Creation Manifestation Law of Attraction video series. Today we're talking about when you leave what you love. There came a point when I needed what most would call a proper adult job. I left New York City, was married and living in Pasadena, California, an expensive place to be finding one's footing. My appetite for learning, along with an ability to navigate complex information and ideas, led me into work as a paralegal. I had moved from rehearsal rooms and musical scores into documents and deadlines. Instead of being surrounded by creativity, I found myself in a corporate environment that felt strangely empty. I missed my life in New York, especially my time at a music store supplying sheet music to all the major symphonies and opera houses around the world. There, people carried a very deep sense of passion and purpose. Here in the corporate world, I noticed it often felt like endurance in exchange for a paycheck. Stories circulated about claims examiners at other firms found dead at their desk, quiet reminders of the weight of stress and overwork. One afternoon, while drafting some documents, something in me gave way. Tears came, and with them a clear realization: I was out of place. In that moment, a quiet inner voice arose. Not dramatic, just clear and certain. Do not be saddened. Music is part of who and what you are. You become one with what you deeply love. Now, I heard it, though it didn't fully land at the time. Its meaning would unfold later that evening. I arrived home before my wife, still carrying the weight of the day. I turned on the radio and sat. A piano concerto by Mozart was playing. When I heard it, something shifted. The sound cut through the heaviness and reached me at a depth beyond explanation. What came through the speakers felt unmistakably intimate. The phrasing, the dynamics, the love carried through the music. There was no distance between myself and what I was hearing. It was me and I was it. It was unmistakable. In that moment, there was a quiet sense of union, a recognition that love dissolves the boundary between who we are and what we give ourselves to. In a life that had begun to feel constrained, music revealed something essential. Through love, we do not simply engage with what we cherish. We become one with it. If a desire isn't manifesting, it doesn't mean something is wrong. Not every vision appears right away, and some may not take form at all. When a desire isn't supported by genuine love and passion, it often lacks the momentum needed to become real. Not all wanting carries creative force. It's also worth remembering that we don't always see ourselves clearly. We may know what we want, but not always what we truly need or what truly serves us. What feels like delay can be an invitation inward. Many desires arrive from strain or fatigue. I need this because I can't continue this way. When desire is shaped by fear or lack, the inner pattern becomes conflicted. A more generative approach is to hold the vision lightly, allow it to develop through meditation, prayer, and imagination, then engage it through connection, love, and trust. Creation tends to respond to fullness more readily than to urgency. At times, what appears as delay is actually protection. Desires driven by status, power, or validation carry a different energetic quality than those rooted in authenticity or service. Some may never come to fruition. Others might, but only to reveal their limitations. This is the essence behind the caution to be mindful of what we wish for. I've often felt a tension with teachings that suggest that anything can be manifested without exception. In my experience, creation is not random. A desire that appears simple on the surface may hold profound meaning, while another vision, however grand, may not truly belong to us. I may be meant to live as a teacher in a small rural town. Becoming the Emperor of Japan is simply not part of that plan. That said, when a desire has remained with you over time, when it feels intrinsic rather than imposed and contributes to growth, connection, or service, it may be pointing towards something real. These kind of desires tend to persist because they are already part of who you are becoming. When this is the case, patience matters. Stay connected to love rather than urgency. Return to stillness for clarity. What is meant to unfold will do so on its own time. When we look closely, a pattern begins to emerge. Beliefs shape feelings. Feelings give rise to emotion. Emotion carries energy, and that energy influences what takes form in our lives. But unresolved emotions, those carried forward from earlier wounds, are also energy. When left unattended, they quietly become part of the inner energetic blueprint. Life still responds to those emotions. One of the more important realizations for me was this: life is both supportive and reflective. It meets us fully, but it also mirrors what we carry. Unresolved patterns don't dissolve simply because we hold positive intentions. Often they move in the opposite direction. As a young adult, my life reflected many of the beliefs I had absorbed growing up in my abusive environment. Ideas like I'm unlovable, happiness won't last, I'll always be betrayed, I will always struggle, or life is defined by hardship and loss. Death and taxes, right? These operated beneath my awareness, shaping outcomes even as I genuinely desired something different. Recognizing this was sobering, but also freeing. It revealed that manifestation is not only about envisioning what we want, but about tending to what exists beneath that vision. Before certain things could take form, parts of me needed attention, healing, and realignment. What appeared as delay or resistance was, in truth, an invitation to address what was asking to be transformed first. When uncertainty arises, returning to a simple inner posture can shift everything. Everything works out for my favor isn't just a comforting thought, it reflects a deeper form of self-respect. How we meet our circumstances is inseparable from how we relate to ourselves. In that sense, self-love becomes a central force in manifestation. When belief shifts, energy flows, and outcomes begin to change. This can be cultivated by reinforcing worthiness in moments when things are already going well, quietly affirming, I am worthy of happiness, during ease helps anchor that truth, making it accessible when life becomes more challenging. The same applies to I am worthy of love and I am worthy of abundance. These aren't empty statements. They help establish an inner environment that supports openness, resilience, and trust. Simple affirmations can also have practical effect. Well, those were simple affirmations, but other ones too. In crowded or stressful situations, there's often a subtle tendency to contract, physically and emotionally. Repeating, I am allowed to take up space, can soften that response, restoring a sense of ease and presence in the body. It's a small adjustment, but it changes how we move through the world. At its core, this work invites us to notice the orientation we're living from, love or fear. Love expands, connects, and creates. Fear contracts, fragments, and narrows perception. When we remain rooted in love, even imperfectly, there's a greater sense of clarity and steadiness. Fear doesn't need to disappear completely, it simply loses its role in guiding our choices. From this place, something becomes clear. Even when life doesn't unfold as expected, support is still present. Beyond fear, we don't encounter emptiness, we encounter more of ourselves. Sometimes what feels like resistance is actually life asking you to come back into alignment. Be aware, be receptive, and watch. This vibration will show you what alignment you're in. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Join us in the next where we talk about rewiring the inner world. If you haven't caught part 2 of this video, I'll link it to this one. If you would like support working through this in your own life, I do offer one-on-one sessions. The information's in the description. As always, much light, love, and happiness to you always.